November of this year. No friggin' way. Yo, okay. That's interesting. Okay, so there's definitely some stuff to unpack there. Gotta collect my thoughts here. This will kind of be interesting. Okay, so there's a few things that I definitely like from the looks of this, and then I think a lot of it's gonna just, again, kind of depend on when it actually comes out. I'd probably say the one big defining fact, or a couple of the bigger things that really stood out to me really quick about this, is the fact that we're going back to like a 2-character type deal. Like we saw this in Syndicate, where I feel like it's gonna be very similar to that, where there's gonna be like 2 different characters. In Syndicate, they did try to play it off where the 2 characters were slightly different play styles, but I never really felt that way when I played Syndicate. But this actually feels like there's a very big dynamic between the 2 on play styles, essentially. If that's what they actually decide to do. Again, this is all speculation until we actually have our hands on the game, because anything can change. I personally do kind of like the dynamic where you have like the larger brute force kind of a guy, and then the more like, well, ninja-like, you have the samurai and the ninja, essentially, in those 2 different respects and whatnot. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how the gameplay is going to play out in that respect. It looks like there's a few things that are kind of new. I'd probably say the things that don't really seem the newest is probably like, okay, there's a new way that the hidden blade's kind of perceived, where it turns into like a knife and you can stab someone that way. Cool, but again, I feel like we've seen other unique things in the Assassin's Creed franchise beyond that, but that's still cool. One thing that I'm very curious to see is the potential game mechanics of the combat, because I am honestly feeling like it could be something very similar to, what is it, Ghost of Tsushima, but a little more fast paced, possibly. Like their own way of how like that kind of combat works and whatnot, where it's a lot more like pairing. And were you thinking, I was thinking that too, essentially. I feel like that's where the gameplay might go, but if so, I'm actually kind of excited for that, because I feel like, now I haven't played Valhalla and I have played a little bit of Mirage, and Mirage was okay. They did go kind of back to the basics and everything, but it almost felt like too basic for what they went back to a little bit. Story was okay and everything, but I feel like this is actually what I really enjoy about the Assassin's Creed games, because I really enjoyed like the first ones all the way up to Syndicate, and I did enjoy the way that I enjoyed Origins a lot. But when I started playing stuff when it came to Odyssey, and then even seeing stuff for Valhalla and whatnot, all the game mechanics and everything there, it looked very similar to previous entries. It didn't look like it was really breaking molds. It looked like you just had really big worlds and everything with some slightly different game mechanics, but the environments and everything else like that didn't really feel unique. And I kind of will say the same thing about Mirage. The environments and everything, it's not a bad thing, but just for me, the environments felt very reminiscent of older or previously done games, which kind of brings me back to this one. I like the idea that this is in Japan. The fact that they're actually going into a completely different culture and everything, which is what I very much am happy about, is where we're seeing the assassins, but we're seeing them in a different culture. Whereabouts a lot of the other ones, it's like very similar cultures and this and that and whatnot. I like to see these dynamical changes where you're going to these different time periods in wildly different cultures, and that actually shows more of the history of things. I'm not really going to say that I have high hopes for the game or not. I'm not really the biggest Assassin's Creed fan. I have played a lot of the games. I do enjoy them. They're not terrible per se. I do enjoy some way more than I enjoy others. Well, yeah, and exactly. Like Valhalla did very well with the Nordic mythology and stuff like that, and that's not a bad thing. It just felt like the Norse. It just felt very much like the environments you were fighting in were done in other games already. And I think that's kind of where it felt slightly boring, especially with a few of the other games, where it felt like it was same environments, just new characters and stories, but that was about it. And maybe a few extra game mechanics. That's all I really got from them. So yeah, but again, I'm kind of abstaining from Valhalla because I never actually played it. It was only from observation and whatnot. But all the other ones I've essentially played at some point or another. But that's kind of where the looks of this one, it looks extremely interesting. I will say that it is catching my eye. I do typically enjoy like the time of the samurai and everything in feudal Japan, even like how it developed through the years and everything. Like this here looks beautiful. Like this kind of landscape I would enjoy running across and being an assassin. Like no longer like a desert of some kind or a city, like a industrial type city of some kind. This is something that's different. I think these are kind of just the bigger things that it's a breath of fresh air. At least it looks like it. Again, we won't know until the game actually comes out. Yes, I will review this game when it comes out. I will go ahead and say that. I will definitely be reviewing this game when it drops. But we've already seen like industrial cities or just massive cities and stuff like Unity and Syndicate and a few others. We've also seen plenty of deserts and everything, or just like very like undeveloped areas and whatnot, or some of the very similar stuff in Origins and Odyssey and such, and even a little bit into Valhalla did step out a little bit from there, but not too much. So we'll just kind of see what happens there. But then you have like the Ezio trilogy and, you know, the first games and all that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of similarity across all of them, and that's not a bad thing. But ever since they killed off, what was his name? Desmond? Yeah. Because like, I feel like the games that honestly do the very, very well, like Black Flag did amazingly and everything, because it changed up things wildly and whatnot. And that's kind of where I feel like there's been a slight lull in the recent games, because they're been very similar in the settings and stuff like that. Oh yeah, AC4 was amazing, and Origins definitely was a good story and the mechanics and everything. But then when Odyssey rolled around, I felt like when I was playing Odyssey, I felt like I've already played the game. Like, I only played a few, like maybe 10 or 12 hours into the game. I don't quite remember. It was years ago. But when I got that far in, at that point, it's like, yep, I've been here. I've done that. And okay, I'm bored. So the world was so big, and it just reminisced and reminded me so much of other things. The story was okay, but apart from that, everything else was just kind of, I don't know, a little lackluster for me. But again, this is just me. But that's kind of where I'm really looking forward to this, because the main thing that caught my eye, and as long as they do this, which they will, I'm just kind of wondering to what extent will it be, is this kind of environment. I would absolutely love to walk around as a assassin in this kind of an environment. And it looks like we got a good story here and everything. I like how they have a female character back and everything you can play as in this aspect, and where it's actually like two characters and they have their own stories, names and everything, and you just kind of see all this kind of stuff happening and whatnot. So we'll kind of see how it also looks. I'm not entirely sure which studio is behind. I'm kind of wondering what the heck that dynamic was right there. Like, was he helping defend, or was he attacking at that point? I think he was. Okay, they were being attacked or something was going on, because now we go into a flashback moment back here where he first shows up and everything. So is there like a potential sense of betrayal, actually? Yo, this is actually interesting. Is that him? That looks... is it Quebec that's making it? Good to know. Is that him? Does this become like a betrayal story, potentially? Let's see what his armor looks like here. Okay, this is a different person. These are probably the baddies, the samurai version of whatever. I'm kind of curious to see how far that's going to be a game mechanic with the muskets and everything, if that's going to be similar to how Assassin's Creed 3 did things with the muskets during the Revolution. Hold on. Yeah, that's him. That looks like him. Armor looks the same. I'm trying to pay attention to the horn. Yeah, big ring at the top. Oh, okay, but no, he's fighting the guys. Okay, but he's fighting the guys in this armor, which were the other guys that shot at him. Okay, so, but then he's here and he's fighting people. Is he... I don't think he's going to do a betrayal or choose another path. I'm wondering... And then these next scenes, you see them working together in a way. I'm kind of wondering what the dynamic is going to be here. If they're going to do something like different, where there's going to be like, well, he's... well, do the time period and everything, who he is. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be something like he comes in, he's a samurai and stuff like that, but then maybe he does some sort of betrayal, or he's kind of like an outcast, but then he eventually becomes a full samurai or something. I'm not, or shinobi, depending exactly how they plan to portray this. I don't know. There's a lot of ways they could, but who knows what Ubisoft's going to do. Him working for the clan or one of the... Oh, exactly. That's the thing. Like, he definitely could... potentially. And yeah, like then you have like informants and everything you get stuff from. Again, this is all just a cinematic trailer. No idea if any of this stuff is going to be like actual mechanics. She did have did she have a flintlock on her hip? She did. I just realized that when she walked by. Yeah, she does. She's got a fire armor on her hip, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a game mechanic similar to back, like, Black Flag kind of mechanic. Yeah, pistols, yeah. And then, like, other options for, I think it's the 1500s. Definitely could be. And then you also got this and everything. This could be a mechanic where it could be something like another earlier version of the grapple from Syndicate, where they use that to scale things. So who knows how they're exactly going to go about that. Because honestly, I feel like they could do some really fun combat mechanics with these characters and get two different, very widely different play styles. You essentially have like the agile dexterity type build, and then you have the other one who's all like strength and whatnot. It would be very interesting to see how they go about this. Yeah, and then they're just hunting down the baddie again. I feel like this is supposed to be kind of like a really like big ooh cool moment, but I don't know. I'm not exactly excited by the fact that it turns into that. It's cool. I don't know. Doesn't seem like that big of a ooh moment, but I could be wrong. Could be a fun mechanic. But November 15th, yeah, I will definitely say that I will absolutely be reviewing this game when it comes out. I'll at least give it a try. I will say it looks interesting. It definitely is catching my attention. Some Assassin's Creed games in the past, especially like probably the most recent 3, didn't really grab my attention. Like, okay, I'll try it, but then it kind of died off kind of quickly for me. But yeah, I think I will definitely be trying this. Well, especially since I'm an Ubisoft creator and I got Ubisoft Plus, I'll have access to the game to try it, even so I don't have to spend, probably $70. You can pre-order it now. Oh, hold on. If we open up the store, how much is it? Do they already have it? Yeah, $70 for probably the base one. Do they have the different versions out? Yep, here they go. Ultimate, what the heck? Oh my God. Good freaking grief. Okay. Well, this isn't exactly a surprise, though. I'm not surprised by this at all. This is pretty... I will say that is kind of like they literally just dropped the world premiere trailer today, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, here are all the editions you can buy right now, and the game's how many months away? Like if the game isn't that far off, okay, so yeah, this is sadly just how it is with the bigger companies now. They expect people, well, it's sad that the companies do this, but it's also what's equally sad is the fact that people do buy these. Okay, what a gift. Yeah. Pay an extra bit of money and you get the game 3 days early. I know, right? But yeah. Yeah. I'm not exactly surprised by this. But the thing is, it's kind of hard to deny by the fact that the reason game companies still do pricing like this or anything extra and want to have like expensive skins in their games or all that kind of stuff, pretty much the reason they do that is because people still buy it. Okay. People buy this crap. They do this. So, which is why I don't bother with this. I just pay for this whenever I'm ready to play one of their games. And then I'll just play the games for the month, and then I'll be done and cancel it. So instead of spending that much, I can spend this much for 1 month and play this game plus any other of their games that I want to play for that month and still get all the other access that I would normally spend on this much, and then just cancel this whenever I want. That's what I do. So, but that's just me. Oh, okay. So they do kind of have some information, everything about the two different characters and whatnot. So he becomes a loyal samurai, whereabouts she's a shinobi assassin. These larger companies know for a fact that they can essentially make multiple different versions of a game, or they can make a free game and just load it up with a bunch of microtransactions for people to pay $20 for a skin, most likely. That probably doesn't really do anything, and people will buy it. Now, yes, it's scummy and very sucky that the developers do this, but at the same time, people are buying it. So if the goal is to make money, which sadly that is the case for a lot of bigger companies now, they know how to work the market. And the fact that people still buy it is a fact that it works. It doesn't mean it's right or that's good, but you can't deny that it works. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this game will be about. The game definitely looks interesting. That's why I'm definitely going to be getting the premium edition or the ultimate edition or whatever with Ubisoft Plus, because I'll spend $18 a month, play this game, plus other expensive games that are going to probably come out around that time, like Outlaws and whatnot too. Instead of spending hundreds of dollars to play the games, $18 flat, play as many games as I want in that month, and then I'm done. Then I don't have to, I can just renew it if I want to continue playing. So yeah, but I will say it looks very interesting. I'm very curious to see what they do. This honestly looks kind of, I know that this is like some concept stuff, but yikes. That other one looked a little interesting. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what this will be. So yeah, there are my thoughts. It looks interesting. It's catching my eye. I definitely will be playing it when it comes out for sure.